Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BAF event. Today, we're going to talk about Algorand governance and the new proposal to decentralize its governance. We have a great guest today, but I'll let Shamir introduce him. Shamir is the president and co-founder of the Student Project Initiative at the University of Adelaide in Australia. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, or there's a Q&A section on the right. Jason will have a little presentation, but Shamir, you can take over, introduce our guests, and we can get started.
Cool. Okay, there we go. Jason's right there. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Shamir. Hi, everyone.
Just a brief introduction about Jason. He's the Chief Operating Officer of the Algorand Foundation, and he's here to discuss more about decentralizing Algorand's governance system, and he's prepared a presentation for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I'd also just like to say, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll read them out, and then we can go over them.
Great. All right, welcome everyone. So just to share how this next 1 hour will look like, I'm gonna share a super high level overview of Algorand Foundation, and then a bit more about our new decentralizing governance proposal. And then after that, we'll go into a Q&A with Shamir, and we're open to questions from the chat as well. So it's going to be really the tip of the iceberg. You could go for hours in this, and trust me, we have gone for hours with this internally and with the community as well. But we want to make this a bit more light, but we can go deep and technical if you want to as well. It's just a matter of the nature of the questions and how far we want to go. But thank you to the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, Shamir, Piggy, the team behind this for setting this up. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. So welcome. The whole topic of conversation is really about decentralizing Algorand governance, and I'm just going to give you an overview. So first off, regarding the foundation, we came up Algorand as a platform even before the foundation, really to solve the great blockchain trilemma, and we pride ourselves for being able to solve security, scalability, and decentralization, and we've been working over the months and years and have shown that we're having that strong ability to do so. And the reason that we do it is because of our founder, Professor Silvio Micali, and the pure proof of stake model, along with VRF, very viable random framework, and that's a number of the technologies that we've used that enable us to do this, and to also be able to build on Algorand in a very simple way. In fact, Shamir from SPI is working on a project and has successfully been working on a few pilots with the local universities here in Australia, and that's quite exciting. I think we can talk a bit about that during the Q&A as well. And the way we position ourselves is as the next generation pure proof of stake. So I won't go through all of that, but really the main point is that we are powering real-world applications, and across the world, since our mainnet launch in 2019, we've seen a huge amount of growth within the industry as well, yet keeping the transaction costs low, yet having a finality aspect to that, in the 2 to 3 second mark, and yet being able to have a strong transaction speed. Just a quick snapshot, nearing to our 2-year anniversary in June 2021, we have over 10 million wallets that are on the Algorand platform, about 700,000 to 800,000 transactions a day that go through our network, and we have been having a strong, credible growth with the community as well. And the way we do it is through as a layer 1 function, we use smart contracts and the Algorand ASA, and that's where you can actually develop your NFTs, your tokens, and of course, atomic transfers and rekeying as well. So on a very high level, we have that capabilities that would really help us in having the speed, reliability, and usability to solve real-world problems. Now, in terms of the foundation itself, we are the stewards to the resources that are available, and part of it includes part of the total algo tokens minted, and a large number of it, over 3 billion plus are now in our stewardship. And that's where we will be introducing community governance, where all community members can have access and also the ability to have access to the decision making on what we do with the resources. So our three foundational pillars are ecosystem development, token economics, and governance. We have a dedicated chief economist, Massimo Morini, who has been sort of the master architect behind our long-term algo dynamics, and also then a very strong team that looks after ecosystem development and with governance now as a core focus. Now, to realize our pillars, we have the 4 dimensions. So you can see how like this little wheel is expanding. Community, activity, diversity, and platform. We then run various things like the accelerator program, which we've done in Asia, Latin America, Europe. We also have quite a robust ambassador and community champions program, a bounty program. We have got our 250 million Algo Grants Program, of which a number of you in this call would have been a recipient of this grant as well. And we work across sort of building this little flywheel effect of growing the foundation and the ecosystem. And then beyond that, it's the mission wheel, right? It's growing so much. You can see it's bursting off the little bubble boxes already. That we then build up the proper global borderless economy. And that's our tagline, just to build the borderless economy that is transparent, public, and open altogether. And we work with a whole variety of different organizations to do that, and the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation being one of them. And we're really excited to continue to build a long-term partnership together. So beyond that mission wheel altogether, we then have different focus areas. And from these focus areas, just a very quick overview of the Algorand ecosystem since we launched. It looks like quite a busy slide, but what we're trying to say is that we have grown by leaps and bounds. Just a few high-level highlights here. Over 500 companies leveraging our platform. For the technical folks, 50,000 SDK downloads. We're actively engaging with the CBDC initiatives as well. In fact, the community members, developer community members, we're looking to grow it a lot more. We got about 100,000 over larger community members, but we want to build more on the technical aspect of things. And we are also looking to really build on our stable coin ecosystem as well, so that we have more seamless transactions that would occur on our platform. So this is just a snapshot of everything that's happening in the Algorand ecosystem. In terms of use cases, again, this is just a quick snapshot of some of the areas that we're working with. Maybe one point to take is Planet Watch. They look into global air quality and sensor tracking of air quality using the ASA token. And just imagine, everywhere you walk, if someone is wearing or having a dongle of a Planet Watch device, you're tracking the air quality across Europe and potentially the world. And that allows to look into how our environment is like and look into the patterns of it. Other areas that we are really proud of as well is with the SIAE, where we are looking at corporate management on the blockchain, and they have committed to put up to 4 million sort of intellectual property assets turned into NFTs. So there will be 4 million NFTs on the Algorand platform, and there are a number of other great examples over here. Okay, so now to move into governance itself. So this is, of course, the main focus of our conversation. So really, we have this vision, a long-term vision of creating a fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem. And we just passed circulating a supply of 5 billion algo out of the total 10 billion algo. So we are now taking this radical step to achieve this fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem vision. Now, what we have done is we've decided to hand over control of the tokens that we use, that what we call the Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool, into your hands, you as the community. So as long as you own an Algo token, you are considered as a community member to us, and then you can then take part in this whole exercise by committing your tokens to then become what you call a governor. So this proposal is really a combination of our founder, Silvio Micali's original proposal back in November last year. And we have been having many discussions over time. And this is sort of the response to that, which is our foundation proposal. And then this will lead towards the actual launch of the community governance after we would have launched what you would call a referendum and a vote for this. So again, we're committed to a simple, inclusive, and transparent ecosystem. And we want to make sure that we communicate this, and this is an example of how we are doing so. Now, quick overview of the program. The whole idea is that the community would then be entrusted with the opportunity to decide what we do with the AERP, or the Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool. So one can become a governor by committing their algo tokens for a period of 90 days or 1 quarter, and we would then be able to then use this governor status to vote. So the vote will occur on a quarterly basis, and they would be what you call quarterly entry points for new and existing users. And this actually will end up being what you call governance rewards, and this will replace participation rewards. So currently now participation rewards are in place where you can stick your algo for a participation reward, but now we will use governance rewards so that there's more engagement with the community altogether. Now let's talk about voting. So the governors will decide all major economic and policy decisions. So I mentioned about the grants we have. That's one of it. Our ecosystem partnerships, future, for example, accelerator programs, our node runner and instruction incentives. We're also really passionate about social good and impact, and we're developing a policy and a plan around it. And we want the community to be part of this, and also the governance and rewards incentives. Also, one big part is education. Many of you will know we've got a very strong research team with us, and education is a big part of how the foundation started and formed. I mean, we've got a large number of the team in Boston, out from the MIT community and the surrounding universities as well. So that's going to be a big part of our focus too. So what we'll do is we will be setting up a vote, and we will declare a preference of how we would choose to vote, but we won't be voting. The governors would be able to then decide whether they would like to support our preference, or they would decide not to, or they will have a suggestion to do something else. So that's a flexibility that governors would have. And the last point there, one committed algo means one vote. So if you've got 10,000 algos, you've got 10,000 votes, and that vote would then correlate with how the whole structure is processed. So the way it's done, it's got a little simple diagram over here. If you look at the diagram, if you commit in October, you vote on how we move our AERP, then by January 1st, you will then receive a reward. And then you vote again in January, and then by March, you would receive the reward. So if you had expressed a valid vote and you stay the whole period, you would then receive your rewards. So that really enables you to participate and communicate with the community and be involved with what the foundation is working on as well. So so the market event is done on a quarterly basis. So there will be a 5-day window to do that. And then the reward rate would be based on the total tokens locked against the total reward pool. So we will determine the reward pool, find out how much you want to lock, and then we can all find out how much the reward rate will look like. And obviously the frequency would be every quarter. So that 90 days commitment is quite important. All right. The rewards also will be available, not subject to locking. So you can also make use of the rewards, or maybe even compound the rewards if you prefer to. Okay, sorry, a bit of a mix in the formatting here. But in terms of how the rewards would look like, if you see the participation rewards, it flows. There's a participation reward schedule, and by July it stays at the 21 million a month mark. And essentially by September, with the launch of the governance rewards, we're actually going to be able to push that up a lot more higher. So that is where the rewards would be a lot more interesting as well in terms of how people will view it. I'm just going to stop my screen and pause for a while. Shamay, do you have any questions, or does anyone have any specific questions on this?
I don't see any questions in particular, but I do have a few questions just about the foundation and Algorand, but maybe we could do those later after this.
Yeah. Okay, sure. All right, so I'll continue on. So I'm going to get a bit more technical over here. So with regards to the rewards rate, what had happened is that in July, we would finish our last participation rewards, and then it would remain the same level. And so for those of you who have the Algo token and you are, for example, staking it on the MyAlgo wallet, or you are staking it on an exchange, you are receiving it through the participation rewards rates. And then by then it will just continue to maintain in that level. But in October onwards, you have that opportunity where the governance rewards will enable an increase in terms of the governance rewards. So an example here is that if, let's say, we have a full year reward pool of 300 million algos, and you have 4 billion entering the program. So again, a reminder, there are 5 billion algos entering right now in circulation. So that's quite a large number. 4 billion commit to locking or committing their governing accounts. The is then just a simple division, right? So 300 million divided by 4 billion, you get 7.7% for every algo lock. That's a pretty good rate already. If let's say we got half of that, then that doubles up, of course. And if let's say you have 1 billion, that's 33% for every algo lock. So it's a simple mathematical formula that would support how the governance rate would correspond in terms of the rewards rate altogether. But as you can see, 300 million algo in the reward pool is much higher than that the 21 million a month that we're seeing. So that's something that we want to do, and we will continue to adjust along the way altogether. So that's for the rewards of how we do it. And essentially, that's really the main super high level focus of how the governance works in terms of our proposal. You can have a look at the full proposal at the Algorand Foundation website in the tab Algo Governance, and then feel free to ask questions in our forum, our Discord channel, and we have also quite an extensive list of responses to this in our FAQ section, and we're continually expanding on that. So that's sort of the high level 20-minute overview and an introduction to the foundation. So thank you. All right, Shami, back to you.
Yeah, we have a few questions in the Q&A. I'll start off with Scott's question. He's saying that, I know removing tokens during the staking period invalidates eligibility, but what impact does adding tokens have? So my impression is you can't add tokens after the eligibility period is over. Is that the case?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you cannot. So the moment you commit that token is locked and accounted for, and that's how the that's sort of determined. And then in terms of removing it, you obviously then lose your rewards altogether. Yeah.
And you cannot add once the period's over. Is that the case? Okay.
No, you cannot reward. You cannot add. So the moment you commit to the tokens, then the governance reward is calculated, and then you will know your specific sort of percentage in terms of governance rewards, and then the voting begins, because your voting is correlated to the number of algos that you have.
Cool. So the other question is, will participation rewards decrease once governance rewards are launched? And where does staking come into all of this?
Okay, so participation rewards would maintain until the end of the year, but after a period of time, when the governance rewards is sort of fully functional, we would actually start to phase off on the participation rewards, because we want our community to get involved and to vote and be part of the decision making as well. So that's where it happens. Now staking would still be part of how we work, but there would probably be an element of voting involved with the staking as well, so that you would continue to be involved with the activities of the foundation.
Cool. And then in here, someone's asked, what will the community be able to vote on? What type of, can they make proposals like with Uniswap or Compound UC, or does the foundation propose proposals? Just things like that.
Yeah, so the foundation would be proposing the proposal. So there's a saying that the foundations facilitates and the governors decide. So we do the heavy lifting of developing the proposals. But that being said, the community throughout this community governance can also work with the foundation to come up with a proposal for the community to vote on. So technically, the participation in terms of the community to propose to participate is fully available all year round. It's just that at the quarter mark, what the foundation will do is they will just bring everything together and then organize it in a way where it would help with the decision making, and then the community then decides. So technically the short answer is yes, except that we have a specific process for that altogether.
Cool. And so actually there's a few follow-up questions on this.
Sure.
So
Sure.
how hard and easy will it be for someone to decide what to vote on? Because there's a lot of sometimes you know, like specific comprehension. You need to know about a specific topic that, you know, most of the governance, you know, the average person doesn't know. And then adding on to that, what's the cost for non-selected options? Like, what's like some costs you can think about, that not just monetary, for people not selecting off?
Oh, okay. So first of all, just to answer the non-selected option. So basically, if you don't vote, you won't be eligible for the rewards, because voting is an important part of committing your tokens, and so you have to vote as part of the thing, and that's where we have that 5-day voting period for you to be part of it. The first question, Chami, could you remind me again on that?
So it's about like the average person deciding on their vote. How hard and easy would it be? And I think will the foundation do some research about this and like make the cases for different types of the argument, or would people have to do their own due diligence?
So we will work our best to make sure that everyone can make an informed decision with like as minimal external research possible. So what you probably see is like a proposal, and then for relevant areas there would be a bit like an appendix, and then that appendix would have all this sort of supplementary information, or there would be a link where they can find out more altogether. The main point is to be as painless, as frictionless, as sort of borderless as possible, where the governors would be able to decide in an informed, intelligible, in a decisive manner as well. So we don't want something that you know where decisions required and it drags out beyond the 5-day period, or it becomes such a contentious issue that no one could make a decision, right? The whole purpose is to enable a decision-making process that is smooth, that has the integrity behind it as well, and that would sort of work according to the values of the foundation, which is, you know, as per the mission wheel, to build the ecosystem, to ensure that we've got a good token economics sort of grounding behind it, and then the governance piece comes as a very important aspect of what we do.
Cool. So adding on to just like the logistics of this, I think you mentioned that on a quarterly basis, the foundation comes together and like compiles a bunch of proposals that need to be voted on. What happens for proposals that need, you know, like attention much quicker than that? Would the foundation propose them on like a rolling basis, or would you have to wait until the next quarter for it to pass governance?
Good question. So it would likely have to be on a 90-day mark. So if sort of you get off the gate within the 90 days, the next 90 days there would be then that second round altogether. So I guess it's a bit like an efficiency in what you do. It's a bit like batching, right? So if you've got a bunch of dishes to wash, you want to stack them all before you wash them all together. So in the same way, we'll stack all the proposals and then make sure that there's time to prepare these proposals, and then we'll sort of, in a way, serve it on a nice platter where the decision making could occur. So I don't think there will be a rolling basis for this. But that being said as well, we want to encourage everyone to follow the right timelines so that we have the right sort of cadence, and people have this sort of element of predictability, so knowing that, oh, this vote occurs every time at this particular time of the year.
Okay, so just a few questions adding on to that. So let's suppose I want to implement a proposal. Would I propose it to the foundation and they will take it to governance, or can I propose it to governance directly and then the foundation puts it part of the voting proposals? What's the process involved in that?
Yep. So the process is you take it to foundation first, but by saying you take it to the foundation is as effective as putting it on our Algorand forums, you know, or on our social channels or developing a proposal from there. And then the foundation will then facilitate again. Because imagine in a world where there could be 100 proposals that was proposed, right? It's just going to be too much for the governors to decide within that voting window, and so then the foundation is then tasked to be able to arrange these proposals in a way where it's much easier to process and also supports the wider objectives of the ecosystem.
Okay, that's an interesting approach because you've seen like different protocols take it in different ways to prevent just spam. You know, there's only so much bandwidth people have.
Yes,
you know,
that's right.
Uniswap has like, you need to have like X million amount of tokens to be able to delegate. And a big criticism of that is that, you know, only like people with so much tokens can delegate proposals, and people that do not have access to that type of, that many tokens cannot, you know, participate in active governance. So this is a great, I think, potential middle ground in this, where the foundation can help just what's quality versus noise.
Yeah.
But so as an average person or average algo holder, I can partake in it, especially if I am producing something of like quality. So so with that said, I think there's a question here that asks, what percentage of the tokens are held by the community versus large stakeholders like the foundation, early investors, and then just like staking as a service providers like Bison Trails? And I guess the question really implies is that how decentralized would the voting process be in this? Do you guys keep any sort of statistics on that?
Not directly. So what I mean, again, the foundation's aim is to really commit towards, I'll share again, fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem. So we truly believe in full decentralization. So we will be encouraging everyone to stake, and again, the foundation works to serve the community, the entire ecosystem, not just large, medium, or small stakeholders. But we do also recognize that this is a pure proof of stake model. So that means that as the sort of the larger amount of tokens that you accumulate, the sort of larger the stake would be like, and that's why of the stand of one committed algo for one vote. But that being said, we will be implementing tools where there would be more efficiency, where everyone from a small time algo holder to someone who has been accumulating algos over a longer period would be able to have their say and their sort of their position in a way where we can facilitate proper consensus decision making for everyone. That's still the main goal: a fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem. Yeah, obviously, again, like it's almost like, to be able to, the ideal world would be, you know, everybody being able to have that say, and we don't want you know, just the large holder to have like that largest say, and then it really impacts how the community makes a decision. But we want to really push forwards that vision of that fully decentralized Algorand ecosystem.
Yeah. So with that said, would governance staking happen through the Algo wallet, or would you need to be running some sort of node or special software or even a platform to interact with to be able to vote on these things?
So it will be true. Yeah. So that it will be through a specific a wallet, and there will be partners that say that other wallets that have gone through, you know, the technical implementation of it will be available as well. So that would be the main intention, but we want to make sure that the process is as simple and easy as possible. And actually, if community members say that, hey, this is just too clunky and too difficult for me, I give up, right? Then, to be honest, we've lost the vision that we have and the outcome that we are looking for, where we have, you know, maximum participation and support from the community. So in a way, that's a little bit of like our KPI or our OKR, our objective and key result.
So just adding on to that, so every quarter, people would signal to lock their algo up to be able to participate in these voting rewards. Two questions on that. So does that mean the circulating supply could potentially decrease every quarter? And second, when you hand out these governance or these voting rewards, are they done every monthly or every block? And are those liquid or are those also locked up? And how would that work?
Okay, so the governance rewards would be released every quarterly.
Okay.
That means that after you vote, the end of the quarter you receive that. So every quarterly they'll be released, and it's correct. So the Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool, that's about 3 billion tokens that is in the hands of the decision-making hands of the community. When the community votes of it, that would be disbursed out. But again, the community may vote, for example, in January. It doesn't mean that January, February, March we actually disburse all the tokens. It could be over a period of time. So, for example, the community may approve a 5-year program, and over 5 years, we have, let's say, 50 million tokens that are being used for a specific initiative. So that means 10 million a year over 5 years. So we want to make sure that the total supply of the Algo token is not impacted because of a decision made by the community as well. We want to make sure that we practice good prudence and also a good runway in terms of how we operate.
So I think we may have answered this before, but I think it's good to just reiterate this. So if people have suggestions, will there be a single time frame pre-organized, or there will be a specific and that will always have to be specific to have a roadmap? So I guess I think what they're asking is like going back again, like would there be a time frame to give suggestions to this, or would you have to have like a roadmap, I guess?
No, yes, we welcome suggestions. That's the short answer. We want to hear from the community, especially when we launch the whole platform. We're slated to launch at the end of this year. In fact, we'd be happy to even take suggestions now as well, in terms of what you would like to do. A good way to interact with these suggestions would be through our grants platform. We just recently launched on Submittable, a new grants platform process where as you apply for grants. So currently, right now, the foundation still decides on who is awarded the grants. But in the future, the ideal option would be the foundation would prepare the grants and arrange them in a way which the community can vote on how to approve the grants or any of our initiatives. Yeah, and again, what was that first question, Shami?
If someone has a suggestion, is there a time frame organized to like take suggestions in? I think that's what they were asking.
Yeah, so this suggestions could happen during a call like this, during an AMA like this, or it could happen in our forums as well. So you could post it. We will receive it on a rolling basis, and we essentially have a team internally that sort of compiles these suggestions and questions, and we either respond to them or we take that for decision making, so that we can continue to support the community better.
Interesting. Okay. A really good recommendation made that many protocols, what they're doing is they're because they have a lot of like community funds, they're actually delegating a lot of this to like blockchain university clubs. There's a good suggestion that maybe the foundation could delegate some of their tokens so voting power can be a bit more decentralized, but also have more informed voting, because some of these blockchain clubs have some really good insights and research that they're pushing out.
Yeah,
so that might be
and I want to actually, in fact, I may take that as a suggestion from you, Shami, or from whoever had posted. That's a great comment, and that's an example of what we can consider as well. I think one area that the foundation believes in, I want to operate based on values, based on being mission driven. And one of the big mission driven areas and focus is to have a strong level of diversity on the way we interact and the way we support with putting up the proposals. So working with university blockchain clubs, working with developing nations. We don't just want to work with the top tier universities, but we want to work with universities across the sector as well. And again, in the terms of variety of use cases and opportunities for everyone to take part in a fully decentralized ecosystem within our borderless economy.
That's actually a great comment that you made there, and I think that would be a great step towards just having more proactive participation. Just seeing more people participate could cause a feedback loop sometimes.
Yes.
So I think Naruto made another comment here, and he said if you understood correctly, there will be a saturation leveled on the decision box if a single holder adds a big amount of algo and percentage that in that decision box. So can you talk about the specific votes itself? How would that work? Like, let's say is live. How would the voting work in that? And would everybody need to participate? Do you need a specific amount? Is it 51%? How would that go?
So we have sort of the headline, which is one committed algo is equal to one vote. We are going to be launching a technical plan in terms of how that one vote would be weighted in terms of that sort of decision box that is being mentioned. Again, the aim is to ensure that not one single party has a really strong weightage over all the decisions. We want to make sure that it is as equitable as possible. But in terms of like the headline news, it's one committed algo for one vote, because we are in a sort of pure proof of stake model. So the more you stake, the more you are rewarded. It applies for the participation rewards. It will also apply for the governance rewards.
Awesome. I would like to just go to first principles here. Just for beginners, what's the difference between Algorand the company and the foundation and the values, and just those are in the long term?
Great. So first of all, it's Algorand the company, which is known as Algorand Incorporated, and Algorand the foundation, which is where I sit in. And again, then back to the values that we believe in, right? So first off, in terms of Algorand as a foundation itself, we will form as a non-profit structured in that way to be custodians and stewards to the tokens that are within the Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool. So this 3.2 billion tokens. And then we are to use this Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool to support with community initiatives. So areas like the Ambassador and Community Champions Program, Accelerator Program, the Grants Bounty Program, all fall within the scope of Algorand Foundation, and we use the AERP. And what we're doing right now is we're now releasing the decision making of AERP to the community. Now, Algorand as the company, or Algorand Incorporated, is the organization that primarily focuses on the protocol and technology development of the Algorand network itself, our layer 1 network. They also support with business solutions for entrepreneurs, businesses, and also developers who want to build. So we've got quite a strong business solutions team, and also a whole variety of other aspects. And the real separation between Algorand Foundation and Algorand as a company is really that Algorand Foundation's mandate, again, is the AERP, the Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool, and then Algorand Company is the focus of development on the technology layer. So we've got some of the smartest people in the world working with Algorand Incorporated, building and supporting and developing the business solutions all across the world for this. So primarily speaking, most of the back end under the hood partnerships that you're seeing that we announce on a very regular basis is really thanks to Algorand as the company. And then what you're seeing from a community perspective, the engagement that we are having, the activities that we're doing right now is primarily with Algorand Foundation altogether. Now, in terms of our overall mission, it is about building the borderless economy. That's our focus as Algorand Foundation. Algorand, the company, has a specific push towards what you call future fi, or the future of finance. And their focus is really within the finance aspect of things. So the infrastructure, the application, the tools behind that. And that's what we strongly support and advocate between these organizations as well.
Okay, cool. A really interesting question popped up here. And so someone asked, what's the difference between blind auctions and how they work versus Dutch auctions? And the origins of this question go back to how the foundation originally proposed a while back. Participating as a governor, you have to go through a pipeline auction. Is that still the case?
Yes.
And how would that work? How does it work?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and thank you. I appreciate the history behind it. So some of you are familiar with the pipeline auctions and the Dutch auctions. I actually don't want to focus too much on that, just because that currently right now we're not going to take that approach. The approach is really focus on the simple mathematical formula, I guess, that we have, which is dividing the tokens, the reward pool against the number of algo committed and algo. So I'm sharing my screen again over here. There you go. The reward rate will be determined by the willing participants based on the total tokens being locked against the total reward pool for that period. So that means that if there was 300 million algos in the reward pool, we would then see how many tokens are being committed or being locked, and then it's going to be a simple division. So again, here you divide that 300 million over the total algo that is entering the program altogether. And I think this is also a response towards the main principle of simplicity, of making it easy to understand and of having full participation altogether. Because I can imagine many would say, oh, if I don't understand it, I don't want to participate in it. Or if I'm unclear of how it works, I may hold back for a bit. So the way we want to present this right now, it is as simple as possible to communicate this, to understand this, and to be part of our decision-making process.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so is there an eventual plan to introduce these pipeline auctions though?
Currently, right now, we have considered a whole variety of ways. So we have considered pipeline auctions, Dutch auctions. So what you see right now, behind that is the multiple of hours across time zones of our teams in New York City, Dublin, Singapore, Italy, Australia, Hong Kong. You know, we have some of the best and most brilliant minds thinking about this. So we're not discounting pipeline auctions or Dutch auctions in the future. It's just that when we want to kick this off, we want to make this as easy as possible to understand and to proceed. But in the future, if something like this would happen, guess what? We would go through the same process of coming up with a proposal, and then the community can decide whether they would like to change the way we operate or stick to it, or maybe support with an improvement of that. Obviously, we'll obviously progress one step at a time, but the idea is that we want to be community and ecosystem centric, and at the same time build and grow the Algorand network and the community as well.
Cool. One question that I've had personally was that one of the foundation is to decentralize the network and to make sure that Algorand eventually is a self-sustaining decentralized network. How long do you see that taking, and what would be the foundation doing after that goal has been objectively achieved?
That's a fantastic question, Charmaine, because we really so if you just search long-term algo dynamics, that's actually our sort of 10-year plan until 2030 in terms of how we see the use of our Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool and how we view the foundation as well. And we are committed in the next 10 years to fully decentralize the Algorand ecosystem. Now, beyond that, and that's where the question comes from, is what next, right? And what we're really looking into is the long-term sustainability of the foundation. You know, I've been having conversations at the back end with the team and say, hey, what would the Algorand Foundation look like in 100 years' time? Should we even exist? Should we even, you know, not exist? And to ensure that the Algorand platform continues to thrive and to be, you know, a very robust platform. And we're still thinking about questions like this. But the idea is that we want this ecosystem to continue to grow and develop, and whatever it takes for this ecosystem to grow and develop in a decentralized way, that would be our main objective and our priority, and where we would spend our time and focus on as well. Yeah.
Cool. This next question is a bit interesting, and it's about why the Algorand Foundation is stationed in Singapore. And with my experience, you know, we've talked to the foundation a fair bit. We've talked to people from all around the world in every single time zone, almost from Europe to America to Singapore to Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess the question is, why legally is the Algorand Foundation incorporated in Singapore over the United States?
No, that's great. And Singapore as a location, first off, is strategic, and we feel that Asia is one of the fastest growing economies across the world, and within an 8 to 10 hour flight from Singapore, you have access to majority of the developing nations as well, and what Algorand Foundation is committed to do is to support the growth of the borderless economy, building the borderless economy, not just across developed markets but across developing markets, and so we intentionally chose Singapore as a strategic location, and also because of the thriving blockchain industry and the whole space there as well. From a regulatory perspective, we do see a lot of opportunities to engage with a progressive regulator, with also a progressive ecosystem where you don't just get. In fact, there are quite a large number of foundations that are incorporated in Singapore, Switzerland being the other place itself, but Singapore being the location of choice. So from a regulatory perspective, that's a place where we find a lot of comfort in, and also again for the strategic nature that we have, and also because quite a growing amount of team members in Algorand Foundation are based around Asia. We do have quite a large number of team members in Europe and North America as well, but we're seeing this need for Asia. In fact, something interesting that you may like to know is that our presence in China is growing significantly. In like growth in the tens of thousands, even in Korea and Japan as well. Obviously, credits to our team championing the community over there. But these are areas that we feel have a very strong potential that Algorand Foundation would like to have a good focus on as well.
Cool. Speaking of team members, this actually transitions into the next question pretty well. So someone asked, is Algorand hiring? And with that, it might be nice to talk a little bit about the grant program, because you can still contribute to Algorand without directly working with them and get compensated through the grants program. And I think a lot of people should consider the grants program, because it's a great way to have autonomy and yet still be part of this really fast and growing ecosystem.
Yeah, but I want to just quickly respond to that, and I'd like to ask you a question, Charmaine, because so first off, yes, Algorand is hiring. Algorand.foundation/careers. We're looking for people. I appreciate that plug there. And in terms of the grants ecosystem, exactly as well. To date, we've given over 100 grants of various levels, and Charmaine, you as the co-founder of SPI actually is your grant recipient as well. So if you don't mind just sharing your experience and the process today, I think it'd be great for those who are tuning in here.
Yeah, sure. One of the best things about Algorand, and I think very people tend to overlook, is they have a very robust grant program. You get a lot of support from the beginning to the end for your application, and just the technical support. The foundation has some of the best cryptographers in the world and just researchers, and just so having access to that is just so beneficial. But and it's been really helpful to us with the grants program, because Algorand Foundation really considers the situation, and the amount that we've been compensated is actually a fairly high amount, which is and it helps a lot, because it really helped us grow. And I think the traction and the success we've received, we probably wouldn't have been able to if we had a grant from any other blockchain protocol. So it is actually a very successful program in my opinion, and it's one of the most robust ones I've seen in the entire space. So definitely apply for it. Yeah, I would say.
Great. And you want to just give a quick plug about the nature of the grant and the work with Blockchain Acceleration Foundation as well? That'll be good in terms of what the grant is purposed for.
Sure. So the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation did some research for Algorand and about the university ecosystem and the space. And they found that Australia is a great place to explore about potentially adopting blockchain within the university ecosystem space. So we did some research, we did a lot of discussions, and then we came to the conclusion that let's do it. And so we worked with the foundation directly, and we came up with a great strategic proposal and like came up with timeline and deliverables, and we're pushing through really quickly. And you know what? It was right, because Australia, like people love the blockchain here, and just the aspect of just potentially adopting it in the classroom, it's just been, it's mind blowing how well received it has been. So yeah, and then now it's becoming something really great. What we're building is called Academia, so you can search us up as well, and hopefully it's coming to a classroom near you soon.
That's great. Wonderful.
So there's a few more great questions. Is someone says that would you reckon that the Asian crypto ecosystem is far more advanced than America and the West in general?
I would say that the speed and velocity of how the Asian crypto ecosystem is growing is way faster than America in general. In terms of how advanced it is, it's hard to say because there are just so many factors. There's regulatory, there's innovation within centralized and decentralized way. And to be honest, we're living in such a borderless world as well that it's hard to pinpoint like areas of geography. And I know I'm sort of putting the foot in my own mouth because I said that geography is also key, right? But what we're also seeing is from a traditional infrastructure perspective, and then the adoption of digital and growth altogether. So we want to see that happening in Asia altogether. And actually, to be honest, if I can sort of take back the word Asia, I would like to say like our focus is on like developing economies as well. So we just concluded our Latin America Accelerator program with Finovista, and we had great success, and we've seen some really amazing projects of how real world problems are being solved through Algorand solution in a way that it actually lifts up the economy and supports the growth of solving a lot of actual real world problems through our systems and platforms and through the grants as well. Yeah.
So there's a question about circulating supply, and I think that's the question that keeps coming up. So the question is, there's 5.5 billion in circulation. How many tokens have been set aside for governance rewards?
Yeah. So
and voting rewards.
Yeah. So 3.2 billion has been set aside for governance rewards, and for voting itself, essentially that would be in a way superseded by the participation rewards. So all this information is actually fully available in the Algorand sort of community governance proposal. So I'd be able to sort of show it to you if you were to look into the Algorand Foundation website and then look at Algo Governance, and then you'd be able to see that all together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so on a high level numbers, because I just downloaded the document, so you can download it off the website. So participation rewards is about 1.95 billion, and that's going to be the governance rewards. 400 million for our Algorand Innovation Fund, 200 million for our Algo Grants Program, 200 million for the Research and Social Good Program, and then we have something called the Contingent Incentives, which is about 495 million. So in total, it's about 3.2 billion.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the website has some really good like infographics and just like information for everyone to look at and refer to, and it's very well documented, and it's actually extremely robust. So it's very transparent, in my opinion. Which some other foundations or other protocols just tend not to do sometimes. So I think that's every question so far. I know we're hitting the hour mark, but I have just like a few final questions. So for someone that wants to participate in the Algorand ecosystem, what do you think is the best place to start? As a university student, as a professional, and then as like an experienced researcher, as an experienced person?
Yep. As they say, right, you pick your poison or you pick your favorites, right? So a variety of us coming through various gateways. So one gateway is through very typically social media. Some are very active on Twitter. We have a very active profile there. We're also big on Discord, which is popular among developers. Forum.algorand.org is where people can post more deliberate sort of where you can put much more thought into it. And also our website itself, just through our contact us page or just looking through the information would be helpful. That would be one. And we are also accessible. So if you're connected through any of us, you could just send us a note of your interest in working together. So it really depends on what how you would like to connect with us, and again, who you connect with as well. So if you're a researcher, we have a very strong research team that we'll be more than happy to connect you with. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for a business solution, hey, maybe it's not Algorand Foundation, but Algorand Incorporated that could help you with that as well. So we want to develop a very inclusive, borderless way of connecting. And Charmaine, you said that you've done time zone. I remember doing calls at 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. on the same day, and it's very exciting. And we want to support the notion that, hey, we work anywhere and everywhere, and we support you in what we do. It's also reflective of our foundation composition. We work across almost 11 different locations. Almost every time zone is covered. So we're quite excited. It's quite an exciting place to be part of. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You get even like as a person that was during the grant process, we got to experience everybody in the team, and we got so much great feedback. And it's great that how well supported we were, even though we were just candidates at that point. And now we're extremely well supported by the foundation. So I would definitely suggest, consider building on top of Algorand and just applying your ideas on it, because I think you'd be surprised in a very pleasant way. So someone asked a question about why did the foundation decide to decentralize or distribute all coins within the next 10 years? Wouldn't 20 to 30 years be better for a long-term plan?
Oh no, that's a great example.
Yeah.
If I could defer to my chief economist, Massimo Morini, I would. He has write books, hundreds of pages thick. He consults for the Monetary Authority of Singapore. He's excellent in that. The decision that we made to have 10 years through our long-term algodynamics is very intentional. One because we know that if you don't set a time, it will never end. So it will be in perpetuity. And number two is because we want to take big swings as well. So if we spread it out over a period of 20 to 30 years, that really doesn't help us to build the momentum in terms of ecosystem development. And it doesn't support as well the nature of developing a fully decentralized ecosystem within the timeline. And I think 10 years in the cryptocurrency world is considered as a very long time as well. Yeah. So I think we decided that, hey, a decade is going to be the end point. But then again, as mentioned before, I've also been thinking, 100 years from now, how would our ecosystem look like? Do we still have tokens in our Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool? Should we still have tokens in our AERP? And these are questions we're thinking about, because we are very we're very concerned, not to say concerned, we're very thoughtful of the longevity of our ecosystem as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure the decisions behind were not taken lightly, and they've been doing a lot of research and modeling just to make sure that such systems could work.
That's right.
But I guess it is still a valid question to ask. Someone asked, does Algorand have a native stablecoin? And that's interesting, because stable coins are pretty I wouldn't say hot, but they're quite a topic that many protocols have been discussing. I do know Algorand recently did get USDC to build a stable coin on top of them, but is there a native one? And would you classify that as native to Algorand?
Our native cryptocurrency is the Algo token, and then we then have the ASA, which can be represented in non-fungible tokens and stablecoin. So in that perspective, that is the stablecoin, not native or non-native. So we do have USDC with Circle. We have also USDT, and we also, so basically it's USDCA or USDTA, and and both these tokens, stablecoins, are on OKEX, Huobi, various exchanges, and we are also developing other stablecoins, in equivalent in Brazil, Turkey, Canada, various different nations as well. But building a stablecoin infrastructure is part of the roadmap that we want to focus on.
Yeah, in this and sometimes volatility space, a lot of people do want to participate and get benefits of a network, but sometimes not have like the volatility exposure. So one question is, what's DeFi looking like on Algorand? I do know Algorand likes to really be, very proud of their infrastructure that could support DeFi. How's that looking like, and what's the future plans of that?
Oh, it's amazing. Like the amount of interest and applications and investment into DeFi has been just increasing at a tremendous pace. I don't want to mention specific names or projects or whatnot, but the DeFi space is really heating up in Algorand altogether. Just go to our Algorand company incorporated website, algorand.com. There is a lot of resources in understanding DeFi and a lot of how we intend to work and partner with those in the DeFi space as well. So just have a look there. We also have partners, the Borderless Capital. They invest into projects, and some of the recent investments relate to the DeFi space as well. And so we're definitely working very closely with building that ecosystem for DeFi.
Yeah, I think there's a very exciting future for DeFi, and platforms supporting it would be the place to be. I did read recently Algorand is about to get their first decentralized platform for borrowing and lending, and also like a Uniswap-like exchange as well. It's coming to Algorand, so that'll be interesting to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're in the know, Shami. Yep, that's good. Yeah, this is all in the works right now. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do know a lot is coming, so I think it's really exciting time to just be looking out for that. Yeah, so just a few comments, I guess, for the developers out there. Have a look at Algorand's extended development community, because there is a lot out there. There's a lot of support, and there's a lot of ways to build on top of Algorand that that's much easier than you would think. So there is a programming language that's being built in partnership with Algorand called Reach, and it makes programming on Algorand much easier and much more simpler. Yeah, so Greg on YouTube asks 5.5 billion Algorand in circulation, 3 for the governance. Where will the rest be distributed? And I think you did mention earlier where the rest were distributed, but I think you can just give people the link as well, like if you have that in front of you.
So the rest of the distribution are in the long-term algo dynamics. And a portion of that is really the foundation operating budget, as well as for Algorand Incorporated as well. So these are the areas where we have our own governance system. We have a management team, board of directors. We have a economic advisory committee and a technical advisory committee to support the governance of the foundation. So that's where the rest of the tokens, the rest of the algo, sort of in between that 5 billion and 3+ billion lie altogether.
Cool. Just one question going back to the foundation itself. You did mention that the foundation has some really high-class researchers, and I've had the honor to be able to interact and talk to some of them. Could you tell us what is the research that they've been doing, and is that some research that contributes directly to the Algorand ecosystem, or is it something that that's indirectly being done?
No, they both direct in indirect as well. We want the research to support not just the Algorand ecosystem, but the wider cryptography community too. In fact, I just a shout out to Hugo, who's part of the research team, who has been a great supporter of the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, and who is building a lot of the research publications with the rest of the team. If you actually just search Algorand.foundation within the tab ecosystem, we just launched a new tab called Research Publications, and that lists all the recent research work done by our most esteemed research team. The publications as recent as this year in 2021, participation in conferences, being part of the research community as well. I highly recommend you look into it. We're very proud of the research team, and we're very glad that they can support Algorand Foundation on a research capability, but also on a very technical capability. Some of our research team members literally roll up their sleeves and are supporting with platform operations, the technical plan for this community governance, and we're really proud of them.
Yeah, I agree. The researchers are very kind. They helping some of the grantees as well in like solving some in their problems. So it's a really great ecosystem that Algorand is nurturing over here. But someone did ask that, well, what happened to the collaboration with ISTA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, and what is Algorand doing with them?
The International Swaps and Derivatives Association, is it?
Yeah, I think so. That's the one that they're referring to, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe there was a announcement last year about partnering with the ISDA, International Swaps and Derivatives Association. That's a good question. I must admit, I need to look up into this again and see what the partnership is with. We have multiple partnerships with a lot of organizations. So this is one of them. One recent one is with the Stanford Future Digital Currency Initiative. We've been a partner with the World Economic Forum and a number of various organizations that support the building of thought leadership and research as well. So with regards to this one, I'll need to come back to that again. But I believe that if we have established a partnership, there will definitely be something in the works and probably something that we'll share in the near future.
Yeah. With that said, I think it's great to bring about NFTs a little bit because people love talking about those. I know Algorand recently signed a very big deal with an Italian digital rights provider. Could you talk a bit more about that and just how they onboarded so many NFTs onto Algorand?
Yeah, that's right. So that was the 4 million planned NFT sort of partnership with the SIAE or the SIAE. I wouldn't attempt to pronounce it, but it's an Italian name. But it's an Italian major copyright collecting agency since 1882. So literally 139 years old. And over that time, they have been supporting the collection of copyrights, and now they are now representing these copyrights in digital assets. So essentially, there's going to be more than 4 million NFTs there. In fact, if you go to metrics.algorand.org, quite a number of these assets are now being listed, and even on the Algo Explorer as well, you would see that partnership in real life taking place in terms of all the NFTs that are being uploaded into this. And again, this is very much thanks to our founder, Professor Silvio Micali, who is originally from Italy itself. The English version of SIA is the Italian Society of Authors and Publishers. So every year they release 1.2 million of licenses for the use of works that were protected by it. Some of them may have been available to the public, and many of them would be represented in an NFT itself. In a bit more of NFT in the Algorand world, did you know that the cost of creating an NFT on Algorand is just roughly 10 cents? And that's because we've intentionally enabled the transaction fees to be very low. And on top of that, on average, we're having over 1,000 transactions per second under 4.5 seconds finality. So finality means that this is final altogether. And because of our technology itself, there's no forking that would happen. So that makes Algorand the perfect choice, So you can never have two versions of the same digital asset. And Professor Silvio Micali said it once, that you can never have two Mona Lisas on the Algorand network. and that's the nature and beauty of using NFT on our sort of platform. There are a few already NFT community members, Opulus, The High Art, Uncopied, Art Square, Italian Wonders, that did. So it's a growing community in this NFT space. And the latest that we've just had is with Origin Mint and their NFT creation platform. So that's quite exciting as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Algorand Block Explorer. It looks like there's been quite a peak in transactions today.
That's right. So again, we pride ourselves for transparency, and you'd be able to you just search Algo Explorer and you'd see the increase in transactions. That's the SIAE sort of NFT ASAs picking up from there.
Yeah, that's actually really cool to look at. Does anyone have any more questions for Jason? I guess not. Do you have any final closing comments? Because I do think we're about to just end here.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to just thank the whole team at BAF and those who are very interested in pursuing this and continuing the conversation. Go to community.algorand.org. Big thanks to Autumn, who's here as well. She's our head of community for the Americas region. And so within community.algorand.org, you would have you can sign up to be a community member, be part of the different social media sort of channels that you'd like to be part of. And to the technical folks here, developer.algorand.org. That's where you can have access to the tutorials and activities. It's an award-winning developer portal as well, so I recommend you have a look at it. Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Just one last thing. As an Italian, I kind of feel obliged to pronounce SIAE as that's how you say SIAE.
Okay.
It is the largest, and actually in Italy, if you want to play a song at any given party, unless it's an underground illegal party, you have to report it to the SIAE. Otherwise, it's a lot like very high fines. So hopefully we can, make that better, make that more, seamless. Because as for now, it's definitely not a pleasant experience. But apart from that, I think that's a great partnership. I mean, being Italian. But other than that, Jason, Shamir, thank you so much.